Hi, and welcome back to the second hour of this Thursday edition of Focal Point on AFR Talk. Great to have you in the program. I want to let you know as we start this hour, at least for this segment, I'm going to be dealing with some pretty mature themes here. If you've got tender ears in the neighborhood, you might want to be aware of that, because at least for the remainder of this segment and possibly into the next segment, going to be talking about very adult themes. We're going to do so as discreetly as we can, but these are going to be adult themes, and I want to be sure you are aware of it. And this is kind of all of a piece with what's happened with Louis Giglio today, where he's being bounced off the inauguration platform for having a biblical view of sexuality, being pro-marriage, being pro-family, and for that he's been exiled. And ladies and gentlemen, what this means is that we as social conservatives, we're now the new Rosa Parks. We are Rosa Parks. The Jim Crow laws are back, and they're being applied to us. We are the ones that are now being told we have to go to the back of the bus. You can't be a part of the inauguration. You're a Christian. You believe in the Bible. You got to go to the back of the bus. So we are Rosa Parks. Jim Crow laws are back, and they're aimed directly at us. Now, to give you an idea of just how far we're drifting, there is a course here, University of Missouri, and the course is on the subject of sibling incest in theory and literature. That's in quotes. That's what it's about. Sibling incest in theory and literature. This class will, quote, examine the deployment of erotic desire, love, and sympathy as political, economic, and textual strategies, and analyze the gender dynamics involved in such deployment. The official description of the course says it will focus, quote, on the way incest functions to establish or to upset identity in the context of national, religious, racial, and familial structures. So here the professor's saying, look, incest can establish identity. Not necessarily a bad thing. It could be just fine. It can establish something good. It can help establish your identity in your family structure. And there's a YouTube video featuring the professor who predicts that gender roles will soon dissolve because they are outdated. So the idea obviously is the complete abolition of any standards when it comes to sexual behavior. Now, and this is where I really want to get into some stuff that's pretty heavy, but you need to be aware this is on the rise. And now we've seen this movie to normalize incest. We've got a class at the University of Missouri, one of the leading universities in the United States of America, and the purpose of this class is to normalize incest. Incest can be good. Incest between siblings can establish identity in a familial structure. Now we've got another movement in our land to normalize pedophilia and to treat it, and also to treat bestiality, not just pedophilia, but bestiality as a sexual orientation, just like homosexuality. In other words, the same arguments that were used to sanction homosexual behavior, to say it's okay, to say it's permissible, that anybody who has an objection to it is just a bigot, these are exactly the same arguments that are used to normalize incest, pedophilia, and bestiality, sex with animals, and that is going on today. It's going on as we speak. 2 decades ago, somebody would have told, hey, they're out to change the definition of the family. They're out to change the definition of marriage. And you would have said, you're crazy. That's nuts. Nobody's talking about doing that. I remember James Dobson saying that. The goal of the homosexual agenda is to change the definition of marriage and the family. I said, come on, Dr. Dobson. I mean, come on. Give me a break. Let's stick in the realm of reality here. That's what I thought. I'm being honest with you here. I thought there's no way that could happen in our lifetime. And here we are, 2012, and the ones now that are being ostracized are the people who believe that maybe homosexual behavior isn't something that we ought to promote or normalize. Now, I'm looking at a piece from The Guardian in the UK on the subject of pedophilia. The Guardian is a highly respected left-wing newspaper in the UK. It's one of their standard publications in the UK. And this article, again, I'm not saying this. I'm not making this up out of my own brain. I am simply reading to you from the London a telegraph. In 1976, the National Council for Civil Liberties said this. This has been going on now. What is that, for 36 years? Childhood sexual experiences willingly engaged in with an adult result in no identifiable damage. This is going on in the UK right now. What they're trying to say is, look, it is possible for a child to engage in consensual sex with an adult. Now, that's the whole reason we have age of consent laws. And it's 16, 17, 18, 14, depending on the state. But the whole point of having an age of consent law is that we understand, because people are young, because they are children, because they are developing, they cannot give meaningful consent to sexual activity. They do not know enough. They're not old enough. They don't have enough training. They don't have enough experience. They don't have enough information to be able to make an informed decision about sexual behavior. So we say, if you engage in sexual activity with a child below the age of consent, that is statutory rape, and we will send you to prison for that. That's the sin, the crime that Planned Parenthood covers up all the time. All the time they have young women coming into their abortion clinics that are underage and are pregnant. What is that? That is proof that a felony has occurred, a felony crime, statutory rape. The only way that can happen is through statutory rape. It's a felony offense. It's a crime. And Planned Parenthood, one time after another, 95% of the Planned Parenthood clinics in America will cover up that crime. So here's the UK saying that, and they're trying to whitewash pedophiles. Here's psychologist Glenn Wilson. The majority of pedophiles, however socially inappropriate, seem to be gentle and rational. Now, still in America, at least, the American Psychiatric Association characterizes pedophilia as a sociopathic condition and a non-psychotic medical disorder. So that's still the way our mental health professionals in America classify it. But here's what the Telegraph goes on to say. There is a growing conviction, notably in Canada, that pedophilia should probably be classified as a distinct sexual orientation like heterosexuality or homosexuality. Here is the Harvard Mental Health Letter from July of 2010. Harvard Mental Health Letter, 2010, 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago. Pedophilia, quote, is a sexual orientation and therefore unlikely to change. And here is a woman by the name of Sarah Good, and listen to what she has to say. She's talking about what she calls the sexual liberation discourse, which she says has existed since the 1970s. And listen to what she says. There are a lot of people who say we outlawed homosexuality and we were wrong. Perhaps we're wrong about pedophilia. So she's saying, look, we used to think that homosexual behavior was inappropriate and self-destructive and immoral. And we don't think that anymore. Maybe we were just as wrong about pedophilia as we were about homosexual behavior. And so the point is, here, ladies and gentlemen, is very simply this. And I'll talk at the after the break, so you need to be aware. We're going to go into even a little darker subject after the break, because we need to talk about this. It's going on, so you need to protect tender ears from this. But here's the point, is this is the point we made from the very beginning, once you transgress the threshold of man-woman marriage, once you break the plane where the only legitimate relationship for sexual intimacy is marriage, there is no place to stop. We are in a moral free fall, and that's what we're witnessing. Focal Point, AFR Talk.